I'm not a songwriter, although I did rap in junior high school. That's a story for a later day. But that would literally give me a headache, like right outside right wheat, like that would I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I've been in that, so we actually have similar stories. Only I was never on the I don't fuck with Nas like that train. So I don't know if, well, I know Ted, of course, you know, but you guys know. So we moved to Miami. So junior high school, I was in Miami. My god sister was going to University of Miami, and University of Miami is crazy fucking expensive. So she moved off campus and moved in with my mom and I. She lived with us for like 6 months. And I was like 11, 12, and she was like 19, 20. And she was a huge Nas fan, a huge Nas fan. And that's really how I got on the Nas train. But at the time, I still I didn't consider Nas my favorite rapper to like high school, but he was one of my favorite rappers. I was actually a really big Tupac fan too, but she really got me listening to Nas at a pretty young age because she used to play him all the freaking time. And so, just me being an only child, well, my mom's only child, and just wanting like an older sibling, I literally follow everything that she liked, everything that she listened to. I wanted to like it too. I wanted to listen to it too. I wanted to do it too. She hated Foxy Brown. To this day, Foxy Brown actually has me blocked on Instagram because like 4 or 5 years ago, I was trolling. Like, she did not like Foxy Brown. And I can honestly admit some of her earlier shit was tight, but I'm not a Foxy Brown fan at all. And I think I was on there trolling and I was like, Lil' Kim was better. And now I'm blocked. So she really got me on the Nas train. But I was a big Tupac fan. Like, I had the Tupac posters. I had the shirts. Like, everything. I was a huge Tupac fan, and Nas is like my number two. But when you really sit and listen to certain shit, like if you really sit and listen to It Was Written, listen to Illmatic, you're like, damn, this motherfucker is really spit. Like certain shit you listen to, and you're like, who even thinks of saying something like that? Like, who even thinks of telling a story backwards? Like, who even thinks of this shit? And I feel like I'm a pretty creative person, but it's certain shit Nas says, and I'm like, who the fuck thinks of this shit? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, so look, taking it back to church, right? You know, they got the Holy Ghost, right? So oh, that's my big bro, Marky D. But some some people, you know what I'm saying, when it's the Holy Ghost, they start yelling or they fall on the floor or do they dance or talk in tongues, right? The preacher, he might start preaching. Like my preacher, he started preaching and humming and and doing all that, right? A motherfucker like me or Dot or Nas catch the Holy Ghost, we might just spit an ill ass rap. You know what I'm saying? Like that, but that might, but because I look at it like it's just energy. And I think on that track, Nas caught the Holy Ghost. Like that's that's the only way to describe the energy. Like because it was like too perfect. You know what I'm saying? It was too perfect. You know
What
what I'm
song you
saying?
talking about?
We talking about Nas Rewind. You
Oh, I'm too
familiar with
West
that?
Coast. I have no idea what that is.
So my brother, he listened to I listen to a lot of West Coast. He listened to mostly West Coast only. You know what I'm saying? But he got a lot of good picks. You know what I'm saying too.
I
But
think that Nas
you
shit
know
like
the
wisdom. I think that Nas like that, especially that song. You gotta have a certain level of intellect to even like, of course, to write that. You know what I'm saying? Because you basically you know what I'm saying, reverse engineering a fucking song, if you want to be honest. And then the visual aspect is not that he just rapped in reverse. No, you can picture everything in reverse. You know what I'm saying? So to get that whole concept, that's like with the film shit, you know what I'm saying? Like Shyne said earlier, like you could coordinate it, but like you don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? So to even put that shit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna write not just 16 bars, I'm gonna write a whole song like that. It shows how intelligent dude is, or at least how musically inclined he is. I can't speak on his intelligence. I can just say he's musically inclined. But I think that Nas is for a certain crowd. So if you're not able to, not willing to receive it, you're always gonna reject that, because you hear people say, "Well, he don't pick the best beats." If you listening to Nas for beats, you're fucking up anyway. You see what I'm saying? You supposed to be listening to him for what the message he's trying to convey. You know what I'm saying? So I think people split it up the wrong way. And if Nas ain't everybody cup of tea, like, you know what I'm saying, some of his shit I ain't fuck with, but to me his hardest shit was when he did that with Damian Marley. You know what I'm saying? And really, I'm gonna be honest, if you ever get a chance, it's called Distant Relatives. Look it up. Like, Damian Marley ate him up on that shit. In my honest opinion, my unbiased opinion, I ain't said it yet, so there you go. You know what I'm saying? In my unbiased opinion, Damian Marley, you know what I'm saying, gave Buddy the blues on that shit. And he a reggae artist, you know what I'm saying? So, but
I bought that. I bought
that shit
that
is
CD off the
crazy.
stove
It's crazy.
when it came out. That's when that Primo put me on with the radio station out there in Atlanta. That's when I was in the
Shout
radio.
out to Primo
Primo Stacks,
and
man.
Mark Smack.
It's
You know he
so
got his macaroni.
And he used to make that shit when we were roommates.
I'm one of them
Yeah,
people that
y'all.
say Nas
We
pick bad beats.
you all y'all.
Huh?
We were reminiscing from back in the days, Clark days. This was probably a few months ago when he was telling me about the restaurant and stuff. And he was talking about you, Mac. He was reminiscing about that shit.
Man, nah, that's good. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's my dog.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm one of the people that say Nas pick bad beats. Because some of them beats, it's hard to listen to. I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, I listen to lyrics, but sometimes I don't know. Well, you know how the West Coast, the Dr. Dre, the G Funk. I'm a beat man. Even though Nas says a lot, some of his beats do be like trash, you know. And so people always talk about Nas and JayZ verses. Nas is a better rapper than JayZ, but JayZ got the beats. He got the actual songs. And so that's why Nas
So
never
You ain't hear
been put on
Nas.
that pedestal with everybody else. And so yeah, they know he the
so
best,
who
but his catalog ain't nowhere near a Jay-Z. Who else on the East Coast? Your Biggies, your 50 Cents,
I,
and he rap better than all of them. It's just his instrumentals be whack.
if
No. Have you heard
yeah, that shit
his
be
shit with
crazy.
Hit Boy?
Nah, shit crazy.
So
And disease. He
so
crazy. And even
so
when
it
DJ Premier and shit, Illmatic is a production classic.
it took him 30
Production wise,
years
Illmatic.
to get. It took him Illmatic or Stillmatic was pretty dope, but his beats still
Illmatic
be
was too.
Illmatic was dope, but Stillmatic, I think his beats was a lot better on that one. I'm just not. Some of them East Coast beats just be trash. I'm not
I
gonna
gotta
lie
say,
to you.
what he's only had.
Hard.
I mean, what he's only had two number 10 hits. Like that's it. That's all he's got because of those
I
beats.
love this
He's
the
only got
beat.
two
I
top
love the
tens. He's
Lauryn
never had
Hill song.
a top beat.
I love that You Can Hate Me Now with Puffy. Some of
Okay.
his best work that flop was that firm stuff, but he had Dr. Dre. I got your phone tapped. Like that was vintage Nas right there.
I want to interject.
That Death Row E song,
That shit's
I think.
hard. That shit's hard. I want y'all. Okay, we got three people from the West Coast up here, and you know what I'm saying. Put a pin in that, please. Like when you said Dr. Dre, it made me think. How do y'all feel about Quik saying
Where you from?
Atlanta? You know what I'm saying? How y'all feel about Quik saying he should be as famous as Drake?
You know why
I
Quick is
don't
I think
different
it's
than
an ill.
Dre?
I think it's an ill will dream.
So Quick, as a producer, Quick was one of the first producers that played everything that you hear. The saxophone, the flute, the drums. He's a real composer. But Dre got that vision because you can't think of no artist that Quick really put on. His biggest artists is Mossberg and Sugar Free, which are still underground guys. Second to none, the Barge guy or whatever. But Dre got that musical mind. But as a composer, ain't nobody really messing with Quick. Go look up what did he be calling the things when he played the instrumentals? The Quick I can't think of the name. But
I don't
every
even
album he
know
got somewhere he just play his like his jazz and stuff. It's dope.
I
But
have noticed that instrumentals, like a lot of orchestra, symphonic, or anything else like that, have started making their way into a lot more music. You're starting to hear a lot more symphonic type music than you do just machines or anything else like that. I'm starting to hear real instruments come back. I'm starting to hear, that's changing. I think the music industry just in general, especially the
yeah,
underground world, when they're starting to get more of those beats that have that, the actual violins and the strings or the real piano. Not, you could tell the difference when you're
yeah.
hearing a song, and you can tell what's real and what's not. And I'm right there with you. I would prefer the real thing compared to something redone up on a computer.
So wait, we're
Yeah,
not
cause
talking about
Quick,
DJ Quick, are we? We are?
yeah,
Oh shit. I was like, wait, what? I was DJ Quick. DJ Quick. I was shocked because Dot went out for a second and then I kept hearing y'all say Quick. I'm like, you talking about DJ Quick? I haven't heard that name in so long. That's why I was
because
like, but then again,
I
I'm not on the West.
yeah, that's what I think though. That Quick is more regional too, because like for us out here, he uh he big to us, but like y'all, well y'all respect him, but I will say unless I was playing that shit or I was at the Cali picnic, motherfuckers ain't playing Quick like they playing Dre shit. But I think it, but yeah, I think it's like my bro said. He might have not knew. Like I think Quick was one of them talents, but I don't think he might have not had the vision for the next man to be the talent. But not saying I love Sugar Free, but that's one of that like I posed the question about the underground people that didn't blow up but was hard. He's one of them people. You know what I'm saying? Mossberg is one of them people, so he got an ear, but Dre just know like Dre's at the Super Bowl. Dre's going diamond. But Quick is still hard though. My favorite diss song ever was Dollars and Cents. You know what I'm saying? When he did MCA. But
Real quickly, before we jump off Nas, because it sounds like we're trying to tail it away, I wonder, in regards to Nas, I think Nas was just timing. I think that's, I think, yeah, if you really look at it, look at all the artists that he was in the mix of. You had a lot of people popping off when he was just breaking off because, like, let's see here. I think, was one of his huge ones. Street Dreams, If I Ruled the World. A lot of his music was great. I just don't, unfortunately, I just think it happened at the wrong time. And now that's why we're seeing him now start to throw out stuff that you're like, oh shit, this is the same guy from 30 years ago. Like, I almost feel like he got like shadowed by everybody else that was coming out right around the same time. And then let's look at late 90s. Late 90s, you had or maybe mid 90s, you had the era of the white underground artists started popping up, and that was kind of a whole different culture shock. And Nas got kind of mixed up all in that. Then you also had the groups all through the 90s. You had Bone Thugs and Harmony that were really popping off, and you heard them everywhere. You had, a lot of different stuff. And then during the 90s, 2000s, for whatever reason, rap and pop kind of just collided into, it was all the same now. And we're just getting, into the late teens and, 2020s now. They're starting to finally separate again. You're starting to get rap again, like, underground and rap and like actual rap and pop. They're separating those two artists. But for 10 years, 15 years, you had rap and pop. They were played on the same stations. They were mixed into the same artists. Everybody was like, you had rock stars that were collaborating, country stars. Everything felt like it was one genre. Country, rap, pop. You had rappers that were doing country at one point, and I think 2010s where it was like this huge, big new thing. And I think Nas just got kind of just blindsided and foreshadowed over everybody else because they had those bigger influences to kind of help push them in the right direction. Where he was coming, I mean, he had nothing. I mean, let's really talk about it. He came up from nowhere. This is a guy that didn't have a whole lot of support right off the bat. He's a guy that, came up in the biggest projects homes in the United States, and then had no parents, no parental support.
I'm gonna be
You know,
honest.
I just think he got foreshadowed.
I guess y'all using the word unbiased opinion. Me being from the West, without, let me make sure I word this right. Without, Nas might be a super regional artist, in my opinion, unbiased opinion, if it wasn't for his beef with Tupac and JayZ. If he wasn't beefing with JayZ, that album probably would have been on the shelf. Um, the thing with Tupac was the hottest thing in the world at that time. He brought Nas to his level by beefing with him, in my opinion, out here. You know, um,
Well, that's the thing. That was the big thing back then. I mean, there used to be scheduled beefs, wasn't there? In the early 90s, all through the 90s, it was like they would schedule, you'd have these studios and these labels that would say, hey, our record sales are dipping. You need to start some shit with this guy, or this guy needs to start shit. I mean, there was a point where some of those beefs were starting to be planned out.
yeah.
I
There's
mean, there was a big exposure on that
there's
back
a
like 10 years ago where they started.
yeah,
Go ahead.
because it wasn't like how it is now with Instagram and Twitter. They would do an interview with the source and they'll come out to 3 to 6 months before the album came out. And that's how it was. Right now, we get everything microwaved. We get everything right when it happens. Back then, you got the retract statements, add more if you wanted to. My album about to come out. All right, put this out in June. What I said about him. You know, the songs wasn't dropping immediately. There was one artist, I forgot who it was, but he said in the early 90s, no song dropped no sooner than 3 to 6 months from when it was recorded. Now people putting stuff up with an hour or two. Diss songs, people getting right back. But I think with Nas, that beef with JayZ elevated him. Him going back and forth, Ether and Takeover, because JayZ was already the man at that time on this side. Nas is kind of in the shadows like he always was. I mean, he had the Illmatic, joint with Lauryn Hill, start beef with Tupac, and what he had like "You Can Hate Me Now" with Puffy, but that was about it until JayZ
Do
came.
you, th- do you think if Tupac was still alive, he'd be bigger?
Hell,
Like, do you think Nas would be bigger?
Probably so.
I don't
I,
know.
Probably so.
I
nah,
don't know.
because
Because just
I
like
don't
how you're
know.
saying Nas
Pac,
is super regional, I think with Pop, I can't hear. I see you talking, Ted, but I can't hear you.
I was saying Pac was already in movies that was big. You know what I'm saying? Poetic Justice, Gridlock, Gang Related. And then, I don't know, Pac's music, like I said, the only reason I hadn't gave Nas a chance was because of Pac. But Pac's music, I had you on some like, it's songs that he made when I was a little kid that I listened to after I went through something or as I was going through something. It was like, damn, it's like this motherfucker made this shit about me. Or I know exactly what he means, but like, man, I'm gonna say this. He Against the World